Chapter 21 Tenses. Look at the pictures carefully and read the sentences that describe them. The children ate breakfast at 7 a.m. The children went to school at 7 a.m. The children eat lunch at 2 p.m. The children return home at 1:30 p.m. The children will eat dinner at 8 p.m. The children will do their homework at 7 p.m. In Group A, the verbs ate and went tell us that the action has already happened in the past time. Such verbs are said to be in the past tense. In Group B, the verbs eat and return tell us that the action is happening in the present time. Such verbs are said to be in the present tense. In Group C, the verbs will eat and will do tell us that the action will happen in the future time. Such verbs are said to be in the future tense. There are three main tenses based on the three periods of time: the present tense, the past tense, the future tense. Tenses can further be classified on the basis of whether the state of action is not certain, simple, is continuing, continuous, or completed, perfect. The simple tense. The simple tense is a subclassification of tense that does not clarify the state of an action. It simply tells us that an action happened in the past time, happens in the present time, or will happen in the future time. Consider the following sentences. He speaks at the seminar. He spoke at the seminar. He will speak at the seminar. In the first sentence, the verb speaks shows that an action happens in the present time. Such a verb is said to be in the present simple tense. In the second sentence, the verb spoke shows that an action happened in the past time. Such a verb is said to be in the past simple tense. In the third sentence, the verb will speak shows that an action will happen in the future time. Such a verb is said to be in the future simple tense. The continuous tense. The continuous tense is a subclassification of tense that tells us about the continuing state of action in the past, present, or future time. Consider the following sentences. We are doing yoga in the lawn. We were doing yoga in the lawn. We shall be doing yoga in the lawn. In the first sentence, the verb are doing shows that an action is continuing at the present time. Such a verb is said to be in the present continuous tense. In the second sentence, the verb were doing shows that an action was continuing in the past time. Such a verb is said to be in the past continuous tense. In the third sentence, the verb shall be doing shows that an action will be continuing in the future time. Such a verb is said to be in the future continuous tense. The perfect tense. Consider the following sentences. I have completed my homework. I had completed my homework before lunch. I shall have completed my homework by evening. In the first sentence, the verb have completed shows that an action has been finished in the present time. Such a verb is said to be in the present perfect tense. In the second sentence, the verb had completed shows that an action had been finished in the past time. Such a verb is said to be in the past perfect tense. In the third sentence, the verb shall have completed shows that an action will have been finished in the future time. Such a verb is said to be in the future perfect tense. The verb forms of various tenses. Now, study the following table showing various verb forms in the present, past, and future tenses. Tense, present simple, number, singular, first person, I write a letter, plural, we write a letter, second person, you write a letter, third person, he or she writes a letter. First person, we write a letter. Second person, you write a letter. Third person, they write a letter. Present continuous, singular, I am writing a letter. You are writing a letter. He or she is writing a letter. Plural, we are writing a letter. You are writing a letter. They are writing a letter. Present perfect, singular, I have written a letter. You have written a letter. He or she has written a letter. Plural, we have written a letter. You have written a letter. They have written a letter. Past simple, singular, I wrote a letter. You wrote a letter. He or she wrote a letter. Plural, we wrote a letter. You wrote a letter. They wrote a letter. Past continuous, singular, I was writing a letter. You were writing a letter. He or she was writing a letter. Plural, we were writing a letter. You were writing a letter. They were writing a letter. Past perfect, singular, I had written a letter. You had written a letter. He or she had written a letter. Plural, we had written a letter. You had written a letter. They had written a letter. Future simple, singular, I shall write a letter. You will write a letter. He or she will write a letter. Plural, we shall write a letter. You will write a letter. They will write a letter. Future continuous, singular, I shall be writing a letter. You will be writing a letter. He or she will be writing a letter. Plural, we shall be writing a letter. You will be writing a letter. They will be writing a letter. Future perfect, singular, I shall have written a letter. You will have written a letter. He or she will have written a letter. Plural, we shall have written a letter. You will have written a letter. They will have written a letter.